but we're
Oh,
going
Cursed
for
Hollow! Yes!
We
Finally!
filled out Cursed and Braxis just in this series alone. We've finally covered all the maps.
But very importantly, it's because Ballistix keeps wanting first pick when it comes to these.
That was going to be my point exactly there, Colaris. I feel like with Hooligan keeping up this trend of going for the garage, maybe not always the best in that particular play, but also just trying to deny it. And it seems to be a working trend for them. Yes, that support, or yes, that DPS choke worked for Tempo Storm last time, but I feel like Ballistix aren't going to be caught off by that surprise factor this time around.
I think that we're going to see continued priority on the garage, although on this very, very large battleground, it's a little bit less useful in the early game. And heroes that can clear the caps are going to be prioritized as well.
Right.
So this is a battleground where I think we may even see Tempo Storm pick Sonya over the Dahaka they've been running so much, because Dahaka just doesn't have that same camp clear potential that a Sonya does on this battleground, where it's important to get those siege giants, it's important to clear lanes, you know, and clear up the enemy camps as well.
All right, let's get into it. Game number 4. Tempo Storm has brought it back. Will they be able to do even more? Will they bring back Shades of Fnatic from yesterday here? It's currently 2-1 to Ballistix.
So, Wolf already mentioned something very important. The camp clear is such a big deal here. For now, this is staying normal. So this is where you get into the dichotomy of what is superior here. The Sonya for the camp clear or the Dahaka for the global. This is one of the larger maps in the pool. So it's a question of, can you get an assassin, like a Greymane, for example, who can take over camp duty, or are you going to have to give up that global XP soak potential and have to go into, say, that Sonya instead?
There's also the potential to use Rhaegar on this battleground for his ability to roam very quickly with Wolf Run, his ability to solo camps or set them up depending on the situation. So Rhaegar definitely a high priority support here. And Hanzo as well is something I think Tempo Storm is considering banning again, because Hanzo has the greatest boss clear in the entire game. You're going to be able to rush a boss. This is a map where you get double boss camps if you can actually win the fight. On the first one, you could just run right over, grab a second one. So we could see double boss plays. You could see boss invades. So I like the Hanzo ban. They used it last game in order to choke the DPS, but here, you know it's SC's best hero. You got to take it away when they've got first pick.
I was wondering if they were just considering the idea of actually banning away the garage, trying to sort of understand the deeper meaning of why, given that it is Ballistix have the choice of that map pick or that first pick, why would they want to go for the first pick? So I think that was a consideration they were making.
I want to pose the question to you then. Is it down to the fact that before the second ban phase, it gives them 3 slots, which then means that they can push SC's priority up, so they don't face the similar situation to the previous game?
I think that's it's possible, like theoretically. I think it might be a bit of a stretch. I think that the reason why they don't ban the garage, but Tempo doesn't take that away here, despite Ballistix' priority, is because they're hoping they're going to get it. They're hoping that Ballistix is just going to leave it to them, and they can actually go back to what is one of their greatest tank picks. It is going to be Genji prioritized here. So again, going for DPS early this time before it can be removed.
It just feels like, as a response, though, Tempo Storm are going to run out with a Garrosh mouth. They're actually going to stick to the Dahaka. Actually going to stick with that global factor. It's been every single game. I've complimented Glaurung on his Sonya play, and you raised some valid points about the map in particular for that mercenary control, for the ability to try and complement multiple factors on here. But yeah, the Dahaka just seems to be his go-to. It's just macro, macro, macro.
I've written down Garrosh Stukov. Prove me wrong.
I don't want to. Although I will make the argument against the Garrosh here. As Wolf already mentioned earlier, this is a map which is much larger. There are it's a little bit more difficult to get a good engage with Garrosh, which is why you will sometimes see the Muradin used a lot more, because it's a little bit more mobile to get over those walls, especially on this map. But the Garrosh, it's been so consistent for Ballistix, I kind of don't want to argue against it, but if there is a map we don't see it locked in here, it would be this one.
I feel like it's going to be difficult for Tempo Storm to utilize the Garrosh on this battleground, so if Ballistix wants to leave it through and just allow Tempo to take it, I think that would also be pretty intelligent. I think this might be, we see no tank in this draft here. Yep, it's going to be the soul lane, and it's going to be the support. I did not think we were going to see the tank here, because I don't think they think that Garrosh is highly prioritized on this map. It's Korea-wise, we almost never see him here prioritized as much as in the past. This is a fantastic rotation for Ballistix, as they have the Empowered Dragon Blade from Uther now, which normally is denied when you have this early priority on Genji. You've got Sonya, great for camp clear, which Genji is not, so you don't have to worry about the fact that Genji is lacking in that way. And you've also said, you're saying to Tempo, we left Garrosh open. Do you want it? Because we're just, we're pretty comfortable with doing that.
I think in terms of bans, however, for Tempo Storm, what are you looking to try and isolate out? I think there's two different directions they can try and go. You're looking to try and either ban out the Abathur for the global pressure to empower what these three heroes in particular for Ballistix can do. That's one side of the coin. The other could be looking to try and disable some of those diving tanks, that being one of them. It was the three I had on my finger would have been Anubrak, Muradin, and Tyrael. Tyrael springs to mind for me for the sole reason that you have the Sanctification and that Holy Ground, not to mention the Smite to allow your entire team just to boost on through, kind of like a pseudo-Lucio.
Yeah, the hyper carry Genji comp can really benefit from a Tyrael with those extra shieldings, and of course that boss control, Holy Ground and Sanctification can be pretty crazy. And Ballistix not going for the let Tempo take Garrosh and Flail strategy, instead choosing to ban it away. So we're moving down into the Muradins, potentially still the Johannas here, and even the ETCs.
The Anubrak here against Uther, very powerful to prevent the the healing, prevent the Divine Shield. So grid for boss control. I think they're going to move away from the ETC themselves, but I feel like Ballistix, now that we're looking at the draft of the bigger picture, I think they may have wanted to ban the Anubrak rather than the Garrosh, just for in terms of team fighting alone, what the Anubrak will potentially do for Tempo Storm here. On the other side for Ballistix, ETC is such a power pick for them, so if Tempo Storm grabs it, it would more be a denial pick, but they take neither. They're taking Diablo and Phoenix here.
A classic. Run several times this tournament to mixed success, unfortunately mostly negative with the Lightning Breath into Purification Salvo build. The potential's there for it, but we're yet to see it used to maximum efficiency yet.
Yeah, the Lightning Breath, I'm always a little bit concerned. Yes, it does obviously, in its rework state, offer you a lot of potential to slow down and sort of manipulate the fight, especially if you're going to be contesting on those mercenary points such as the boss. The Reflect, much like Braxton's holdout as that boss, right? You're going to find a lot of value. That Diablo will be jumping in and may end up causing his own demise. But on the flip side of Ballistix, you mentioned Anubrak for Tempo Storm. I was wondering if there's ever a world where Ballistix themselves consider picking up the Anubrak to try and dive on in and just cocoon a key target and go, we're blowing this up because we've got Sonya, we've got Uther, we've got Genji. It's 4v5.
They like playing Anub.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say is it's a hero that Hooligan is much more comfortable on than he is on the ETC. Really, really inconsistent play at Eastern Clash with the Anubrak. They do lock it in. So it's a concern of mine for this team if they run this Anubrak, because it has looked at times great, but at times really, to be honest, abysmal for Hooligan. So a bit of a risky pick here.
And a big theme of this draft was a lot of Zeratul bans being targeted at Ballistix, but now it has gone through.
Very sensible. It's been 3-1 against them. 3-1 in Ballistix' favor this tournament. Now it's finally being allowed in once again, and their comp has so much burst potential against a Malfurion. This last pick from Tempo Storm better be something with either peeling or at least counter-engage potential, because otherwise Malfurion, until he gets that ice block, is going to have a rough game.
Yeah, I feel like they wish maybe they could draft a secondary support here almost. Medivh would be fantastic if they could use it to control the boss pits with Poly. They could also try to do ley line combos. They're going to go with the Tassel. This is what I was thinking, but it feels so... It feels like you're really just going, uh-oh, we messed up the draft. Better lock in Tassler, because I don't know if Phoenix is going to live. His one shield bar might not be enough. It's not a bad pick, and I think it makes sense, but it just feels like that's not what they wanted with this draft, and the Zeratul kind of sneaked in on them at the end. There's so much dive on the side of Ballistix. It's going to be so difficult to keep Malf pre-13 alive, and Phoenix as well in general.
Time for predictions.
I think this is the draft that I'm least behind for Tempo Storm, so I was already struggling to stay with them. I've got to go with Ballistix this time.
Okay.
As long as Hooligan can keep the Anubrak under control, make some good plays with it, not go too aggressive, not force Divine Shields to be used on him, which was a big story at the Eastern Clash. It's Ballistix all the way, because I think Tempo Storm's draft is significantly worse.
I feel like Tempo Storm are the two all-in on this Dahaka pick. They seem to really want to go for globals, really try and find the early game lead and try and accentuate that. For the sole reason that Wolf just mentioned, Malf is going to be weak pre-13, a very squishy target, the same for Phoenix. They need those levels to get some power to try and turn the tide around. I feel like Ballistix for this map got what they wanted, so I'm not going to change my vote for them.
And I will have faith in the Zeratul for the 4 Ballistix. Shot here from the Analysis Command Center. And let's see what people think at home with the hashtags as it's 50-50. That was a big shift after they took themselves one map. So a little bit of confidence been restored there over in Twitch chat as well. Let's head over to the commentators. They're going to bring you all the action, of course, with Mr. Dreadnought and Jay How. Boys, what do you make of it?
Seems like confidence is definitely a thing when you win a game, because Twitch chat got a little bit of it with their voting.
Yeah, and you know, the Salvo mixed with the Lightning Breath split opportunities into the Uther might be difficult here, but you know, based on the lack of ability to close out majority of the games in the series, the Curse Hall is a battleground where the momentum can swing so fast, and that is the only thing that makes me scared here for Tempo.
Well, I'll be looking forward to a 2-2 if it happens. Let's get it going.
All right, for Tempo Storm, they're back still against the wall, Dreadnought. Obviously, that Tassadar pick, probably unexpected, but the Zeratul you and I were discussing maybe going over to Tempo, but Ballistix had something else in mind.
Yeah, picking it up for themselves, a classic there for SDE here. In the blue is going to be Ballistix, still one game away from closing out this series, where we have SC on Genji, Magi on the Uther, Zhengha on the Sonya. We have Anu Barak played by Hooligan, and Zeratul played by SDE. Give it up for Ballistix.
Tempo Storm starting to turn things around. It's going to be Glaurung once again on Dahaka, June on Malfurion, Psalm on Phoenix, Caterpillar on Diablo, and Fan on Tassadar. Give it up for Tempo Storm.
No surprise to hear the fans a bit heavier of a North American crowd than we do there of the Koreans.
And let's spawn some beetles and get some armor and just dive this.
This is a very, very good opener here for Ballistix. Gonna already set the laning mismatch into the off lane very much in favor of Ballistix, and this is a great decision making from them, because Curse Hall is one of the few battlegrounds where if you don't have that immediate response proper, or don't kind of make that same transition on the opposite side of the battleground, it's just pretty much a free turret at all points in time. And Ballistix wasting no experience at any point in the map. Glaurung is going to be waiting to try and catch the Zeratul in the 1v1, but it's really just going to set him below 50% at best HP, and not really give too big of a momentum swing on either side.
Yeah, this is actually a tough matchup for Zeratul into a Dahaka. You can see at the 1 minute mark, there is a clear strategy in mind for Ballistix. They already opened up that top lane a little bit. Now they're going to be trying to compound that issue with that siege camp, and you can see Uther, Sonya. But on the other side, Tempo Storm, they're trying to get a night camp of their own, seeing if maybe they can get an early game push.
The Giants on the top half with a Diablo defense by Tempo Storm is not going to be the easiest. Not some of the best clear that you can kind of ask for. Only opportunities are if you can move past it and get the Shadow Charge through. So something Tempo Storm might be considering. But instead, we see Ballistix actually get the 2-man rotation immediately after the Giants. But we see Ballistix open Curse Hall very standard, right? Take the Giants, take the Knights. Tempo with a bit earlier on the Knight rotation here, but it's going to work out for them based on tribute placement. The fact that the tribute spawns on the top half of the battleground will allow them not only to have a global on the opposite side sieging, it's going to be a laning mismatch in favor of Tempo Storm, and they're going to have Giants sieging. So first tribute, a lot of tough questions for Ballistix.
One of the weird things here is if you're on the side of Ballistix, it's up to you to dive right in, because your range damage is nil. Genji's up in the top lane, and that's pretty much it. You can spawn some beetles, maybe buy a little bit of time, but that is effectively how they're going to have to clear camps, do different things, and it's not always going to be the safest route. As we can see, Glaurung put in some damage down here in the bot lane, but SDE with the body blocks, I don't know if we've got any
But Glau can
there.
turn this. Yeah, I was going to say, he has his passive there. If he hits one drag, that might be a kill. Great job there, though, again, from SDE, holding his own into that off lane, making it not as dominant. And with this Night Camp and the failure to be able to get the clear fast enough, Tempo Storm actually picking up their Giants maybe a bit later than desired. Fan, though, one of the better heroes to be able to deal with that little Knight sitting in the back line, providing that armor for the rest of the squad. And this is one of those moments where Tempo Storm struggled in game number 1. What if you don't respond to the tribute? And now Glaurung possibly going to get caught out, able to survive.
Add the awareness to make sure and get out of there, but you bring up the question of, did Tempo maybe rotate a few seconds too late on that Siege Giant camp? But with Ballistix now committing 3 members to that bot lane, that Siege camp will be responded to, and SC here on the Genji does have the capability to make sure and deny this. As you can see, the root going down as Cattle does get the flip over. We'll see how long Tempo Storm is able to hold here, and if Ballistix looks for an opportunity to deny. They will not.
So I want to highlight one cool thing that just happened by Tempo Storm is Psalm never showed himself on the battleground. If Psalm shows himself, that is a very, very different circumstance for Ballistix and how they respond to it. Because we knew the Giants had to be picked up by some kind of damage source, not showing himself at any point in time, but puts it to where Ballistix goes, I expect a 1-4 split with the Dahaka into the off lane, but just in case things go a little bit south for Tempo and they need to counter respond because of the 3-man siege, they can use Psalm and get the great defense and still win on the tribute. Clever play here from Tempo, but Glaurung possibly getting caught out. He's going to use the brush stock as all the crowd control stacks, and he makes it out.
I was surprised that he went that far. He clearly pinged, got the Zeratul, but these are heavy rotations right now coming out from Ballistix. They are not sending 1 to 2 people. They are sending 3 or 4 to try and get these kills. Glaurung, lucky to make it out alive. He's going to find himself here in the top lane.
Next tribute spawning on bottom. And as you said, with Glaurung in the top lane, it's again just always putting the global in the farthest lane possible. Not going to have a giant advantage or anything of the like, but Ballistix does not have the giant sieging towards that northern lane, so it's not going to be problematic. It's just, what do we see Ballistix do with their transitions? Already, we see Sonya flanking towards the top half, again, getting counter pressure on the opposite side of the battleground, knowing they don't have a global advantage. Drag just to poke and prod. Glaurung has the opportunity to burrow.
He's got Beating Frenzy. He's got one more drag if he gets one more auto. Unable to do so, but he has to be careful again. Minions are going to be there. He's going to go ahead. That Brush Stalker that he had, again, it's a long cooldown. It looks like they're diving behind that. Glaurung clearly has been watching lately, been experiencing the full wrath of Korea and how they like to dive SDE, getting chased down, but Tempo Storm unwilling to full commit. They are Dread now, sitting on 2 of those tributes.
Sitting on 2 of the tributes, but the first 4 to the game going to lie victim here to Ballistix as that 3-man rotation to the opposite lane. It's a very common strategy when you don't have the upper hand onto the tributes. Can't really deal with them themselves, so look to get the experience in different avenues. And I will say what this does do is put Tempo Storm in a situation to where they need to get a lot out of their curse under the circumstance to where they heavily prioritize focusing on getting up this 3rd tribute, because normally with Ballistix in that rotation, they've already got structural advantage on one lane. Now, if it's not that, you know, that's about minimal of what you expect during a curse. But now with Ballistix, if they give up at the curse and then they actually face and bring the fight to Tempo Storm, Tempo loses more in the entirety of the early game rotations, even though they're the ones with all the tributes. So I actually really appreciate the approach we see here from Ballistix, and it's very different than what Tempo Storm is used to facing.
Well, right now, Tempo Storm making the correct call, understanding with the tribute placement, the threat of 10, they couldn't contest boss. They expected Ballistix to grab theirs. Tempo Storm, you saw the early hearth back from Psalm on that Phoenix. Now they're going to rotate and get their boss as well. A little bit behind in terms of the rotation, but you can see Ballistix has no business being there. They're going to push bot lane, and there's no way they can defend that. You can see on the minimap alone, Dahaka, Glaurung just chilling back in the base area. There's nothing he can do. Now the next tribute with level 10 will give Tempo Storm an opportunity to contest.
Because Ballistix was so much faster at picking up that boss and getting the pressure out, Tempo Storm is not going to gain nearly as much out of this boss. I mean, the top fort itself is only going to receive a bit of damage, and they're already down a full level. Actually, we see the Lightning Breath used here on point onto the Giants, along with the Salvo. Void Prison is going to buy a bit of time, but SDE falling low. Glaurung trying to secure the kill, and he will there. Magi ends up dropping next here. Tempo Storm bringing the fight, and they're holding their own, but June gets thrown to death there. Hooligan slammed against the wall with a Shadow Charge. Psalm able to get the teleport out here. Tempo Storm up a man, and Ballistix need to find a way out.
The boss is zoning Psalm out. Psalm actually misstepped into that, but the drag's going to land on Onubrak. You're going to get the charge in, and that is another member down of Ballistix. Things going in their favor, but Dreadnought, the boss in that bot lane, not only took that fort, but it took that keep wall, and we look 4 minutes down the line. We're looking at level 16 potentially for Ballistix to not only get another boss, but now that keep will be available to potentially take down, and depending on how things go, could equal game. So as you said, for Tempo Storm, they need to get something out of this curse, which seems imminent.
Again, the approach that Ballistix has, it's very unorthodox. It's not even so much unorthodox, but not what we see in the North American region. And it puts them in a position where they're winning structurally. So Tempo has a lot on their shoulders to get done during this curse. Lightning Breath going to be used to get a little bit of a slow. Teleport there for Psalm. Going to drop another slow. Glaurung waiting in the wings there for a drag. Interrupt there and teleport out. Hooligan, great peels and able to keep SDE alive. That splash there from Psalm, almost enough to get the kill.
Right now, they're pushing in the top lane. Genji will have to respond to the bottom as the Siege Giants are there. And now this is the opportunity for Tempo Storm with 13. If they can find that charge, find that pick. Cattle getting through, he gets in. Unable to get the flip, and the wall starting to fall. Dread, 25 seconds left on this. Is it going to be enough for them to get the keep as Genji is back?
Yeah, Genji just made the back, and there goes the Cocoon. Initiation going to be here. Glorong stuck on the other side here. Void Prison goes down. Psalm able to make it in there, but then look at Glorong on the side. He drops the passive, hits the drag, only lands onto a minion. Salvo going to be dropped here. Tempo needs to keep Glorong alive. He actually burrows in. The Shadow Charge used. Divine Shield going to be dropped. Psalm kiting back, trying to keep himself alive. SC drops the deflect, and the first to drop here is going to be Psalm. SC gets the Swift Strike out. Lightning Breath number 2, and Tempo fights back here 1-1. Hooligan trying to kite away. The root might be available here. Glorong still holding his own, but SD closes it out. Ballistix actually winning the skirmish.
Yeah, it's about to get worse because SC was able to hearth, and now he's back on Genji. He is going to chase them down if they are not careful. There's going to be one member. It could be more. Fans got to get out of here as they're trying to hold their own, but Tempo Dread, they do not have the firepower, and this is only going to stagger deaths. They have got to get out while they can.
They are going to lose at least 4 members here. Fan is going to be the last man standing. SCE has no mana, and that might be the only thing that keeps Fan alive. But SCE coming in there with the Shuriken and the last cleave there. Will Psalm be able to get the rebuttal? It might come at the cost of his life there. The Impale, he has the teleport out, but the hammer just thrown down, and they get another kill here. Tempo Storm trying to, redeem things back in their favor, but as we saw in games 1 and 2, might be a little bit too much in these circumstances, and they keep throwing bodies at Ballistix.
See if it's enough. Do we have the charge? Do we have the damage? Hooligan, there's going to be the Lightning Breath, and somehow Tempo Storm, they're like, look, we're not staggering anymore. You have no mana. Your health bars are low. We are finding our way back.
And though we did see, again, when you look at the compositions, you would expect a major advantage at this point in time with a team that does have the global into their favor. Ballistix still winning, not only in experience, but structurally speaking, they're almost dead even. That top keep, it does take more damage than we saw, or has taken more damage on the side of Ballistix than that bottom keep, but by no means is Ballistix fearing at any point the next couple of minutes of this game. And I want to bring it back to that comes down to the tributes and then bringing the fight during the tribute and the curse happening. Ballistix, again, is approaching very different. But Tempo, for now, it's not like things have gotten too grim. I can't help but wonder, is this going to be the breaking point that we've experienced for a majority of this series?
This is an interesting call because for Tempo Storm, you're almost down 16. You have the global, but that boss on the bottom left side of Ballistix will be coming up momentarily. So for Tempo Storm, are you willing to concede the curse, or the tribute, I should say? Are you willing to concede the boss? As you can see, some rotations down on all fronts here. And how can you best utilize that global? Because again, that earlier boss put a lot of pressure in that bot lane against that bot keep. We'll see exactly how this plays out. Glorong has to be careful. You can see on the minimap Anubarak Genji contemplating to go down. SD going to be interrupted there by Fan.
Notice that's the only member really shown on the map for a long while there for Ballistix. Now Jung Ha and SC going to reveal themselves. Ma Game friends are now committing to the tribute. Channel not going to be there. Fan with a nice interrupt. Dimensional warp use and should be, dimensional shift use, and that should be enough to pick up this tribute. It very much is going to be the case. And back to the boss question we asked before. The giant pressure is going to demand some kind of respect for Ballistix. And now Tempo, if they can delay this out, that is going to be in their best interest. SDE is the only man to make the rotation down to the Knights.
Next tribute's going to be very important. It's actually going to be on the side of Ballistix, and now Tempo Storm, they know that response is down there. Zeratul has now shown in that bot lane. He's coming back now to this fight. No VP for a while. Tempo Storm, this might be their best shot here, Trent.
They're committing, and now they're going to rotate into the fight. Jung Ha is the focus for now. Salvo goes down. Or excuse me, not the salvo, they're just going to be the laser. Actually got interrupted in that skirmish. 5 more seconds, so that's going to be back. Cocoon is used. Psalm ends up getting the teleport, but Glorong now stuck with Cattle on the other side of this wall. Void Prison dropped. The focus seems to be there onto SC as he gets the Divine Shield. Dragon Blade going to come out. Can he get the resets? Icebox going to deny, and Salvo gets the pick there onto Zeratul. But if he can get the resets, they can return this fight. Second member to drop there, and it looks like Tempo Storm is going to hold on here, ladies and gentlemen. 3 members down. Jung Ha going to be the 4th.
They're not just holding on, they are taking this fight, and now they're sending Diablo down. Well, they were for a moment. That tribute's still going to be there. They are welcoming Ballistix. You want to get that tribute, go ahead and get that curse because you have several members dead. Instead, Tempo Storm, they're going to make a boss play. Dreadnought, that top keep in that earlier push is down to about 50% health as we take another look.
This was, I mean, the amount of sustain that Tempo Storm displayed with their composition in this fight is amazing. And the ability to get the kill there on to reset with or SCE with that salvo, I feel like was the beginning of the end there. The Divine Shield initiation along with the Swift Strike opportunities are just denied consistently with that Tassadar support. You know, the teleportation opportunities by Psalm there on the Phoenix, now securing the top boss for Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm is going to commit towards the top half. They want to secure this key, possibly game, if they get themselves a couple of kills.
This could get wild.
But it's very high risk here. This is, again, that kind of trade-off we saw in Towers of Doom. Tempo Storm maybe biting off more than they can chew.
Well, they know this siege camp is going to be picked up. Let's see, Glaurung, is he going to land the tongue? See if he can get into that bush instead. It looks like they're going to focus, clear the siege giant. The boss now approaching this top keep. Will Tempo Storm look to take the keep and back out? Or will they look to do more as the spear comes in? There's going to be the charge. No flip back into the boss done. Nice cleanse there on the side of Ballistix.
Void Prison just came online for SCE. He's going to get Shadow Charge against the wall. Tempo Storm will get this keep as the Lightning Breath goes down. Ice Block already used there for June. Tranquility going to be dropped. Jung Ha on the backline trying to make something happen there, but he has no support available. Magi trying to get close there, but SCE is already fallen. There's the Divine Shield. Psalm getting pressured. Seismic Slam after Seismic Slam, but look at that. Tempo Storm able to get the slam against Hooligan into the wall. Void is just going to be buying time. Tempo with some amazing body blocks, and Tempo Storm is going to be sending this series, ladies and gentlemen, to a game number 5.
Somehow, some way, they found their way back, and they did it with another composition where they are all in the face of Ballistic, and this is going, Dreadnought. Tempo Storm, despite falling 0-2, all of a sudden picking up steam, and is Ballistic starting to feel the pressure.
I don't think there was ever a world where I walked into this tournament and thought that a North American team down 0-2 and a best of 5 would have the mental strength after some of the emotional tempo swings throughout that series and hold their own, because that is, in my opinion, the biggest crux of North America over the, the kind of slow lull that we have had. It is not the individual play. It's that when we get to this stage, the mental strength has very much not been there, the confidence in sticking to what they know. But Tempo, a new reformed version here of North America.
The Tassadar pick worked out, Protoss power. Either way, we're going to take another quick break before we wrap this series up. We'll be right back with more Mid-Season Brawl action.